Warning, this episode contains explicit content. Please proceed with caution. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome to Whiskey Sex Talk. I am your host, Romeo, and in the studio again and here to tell us about attachment styles. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about attachment styles. And here, like I said, back in the studio is Raven.
Yes, I can't wait to talk about attachment
Yes,
styles.
I do want to just say something to our listeners or to everybody, whoever's listening. You know, when it comes to attachment styles, a lot of us, I just want to clear something out. You know, we all
Yes.
struggle with relationship problems.
Mhm.
And sometimes, we look for answers. Interesting enough, or we try to, find the root of the issue. But interesting enough, a lot of relationship problems could stem from our attachment styles that we developed with our primary caregiver as an infant.
Yes.
Is that right,
Yes.
Raven?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Raven, before we get into this and we kind of dive into this, can you tell us how did you get into the field of working with attachment styles? Because you're pretty diverse. You're pretty, you kind of work in a lot of different fields when it comes to relationships.
Yes. But this one, the attachment styles, is one that I began to study even before I went into clinical psychology school because I wanted to figure out why I was doing certain behaviors, especially in relationships. And I discovered that understanding my attachment style and attachment style in others was the best way to really understand why I was making the choices that I was making. And so by the time I got to graduate school, I was able to just incorporate it with all this research, with all this reading I was doing on my own. And it truly is, I just think, one of the best self reflection tools that we can use.
I love that you said that because I think that by us diving in and learning about our attachment styles, we learn about how we interpret our interactions in relationship, why we react certain ways. But interesting enough, you end up also, and you know this because you work in this field, you end up discovering your traumas as well. Because that's
Yes.
all tied into they're tied into each other. They're not mutually exclusive at all. Now,
Yes.
so let's get started here. What are the attachment styles?
Yeah, so the attachment theory started with two psychologists in the 50s and 60s. So John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, they were psychologists who really wanted to study the effects of our bonding with our parents and how it would go on to affect us throughout our lives, even into adulthood. And so what they did is they set up a room and they had a parent come in with a baby, usually a mother, and they had a caregiver in the room. And they would have the mother leave the room temporarily and they would observe how the baby reacted to that. And so based on their data, they found out that babies react in generally four different ways. So there's a baby called that has an anxious attachment, and that means when mom leaves the room, they cry, they can't be consoled by the caregiver, and they don't know how to self-soothe that detachment from their caregiver. And so mom even comes back into the room and they still have a hard time soothing the child. This baby is just really taken back by the disruption of mom leaving the room. So
Hmm.
that's like what we call the anxious attachers,
Hmm.
right? And then they found out there are babies that have secure attachment, where a normal, per se, quote unquote, normal reaction is when a mom leaves the room, a baby is concerned and can even cry. That's normal. However, it can be soothed by a caregiver. It could be distracted, maybe with a game. It can be, and then when the parent walks back into the room, it immediately regulates and is able to accept and receive this nurturing touch from the parent. So that's a secure attachment.
Mhm.
Then we move to what they coined as avoidant attachment. And that is when a baby is completely, doesn't show much of a reaction at all when mom leaves the room. Like the baby will just kind of go on playing, not even notice, do its own thing. And it doesn't really have a reaction about mom leaving the room. And so that's what we call avoidant attachment. And then the final one is disorganized, where they really found that a baby can have both of these traits. They can get dysregulated with anxiousness, and then they can also kind of ignore the parent too. So they have a tendency to toggle back and forth. And so this is the foundation that we're working with when we're in adulthood and when we are in relationships and dating people or together with people, marrying people. It's really important to understand where they fall on that spectrum
Mhm.
because then it helps you to understand not only how to communicate your needs about, okay, for instance, my default attachment is anxious. Now, the amount of work that I've done, I have moved into a more secure attachment, but on a bad day, I'm an anxious attacher, right?
Mhm.
And so that means I can communicate that to people I'm dating, to potential partners, and say, this is my kind of natural way of cognition, of thinking and feeling, and I just wanted to, communicate that with you.
Now,
Huge difference,
yeah,
game changer.
and I'm glad that you clarified how you know, and you said that how you deal with it. Because I think that it's very easy to, oh my gosh, I'm this type of attachment style, and then you can easily victimize yourself. Now, this is not something to like make you hate yourself or feel bad about yourself. It's really to learn how to grow. I find it interesting, not interesting, but we need to understand that the attachment bond is an emotional connection that was formed when we were infants with our primary caregiver. In this case, in most cases, the mom. Because by us understanding that, we will be able to understand how we interact or how we react. I guess that's the correct word, Raven.
Yeah, yeah,
With
how we
our
interact with
so
people.
let's just review. So there's the secure attachment, then there's the
Yes,
ambivalent, which in this case the anxious preoccupied attachment, the
yes.
avoidant, dismissive attachment, and
Mhm.
disorganized attachment. Now, how do attachment styles impact our everyday experiences?
Oh, they're so huge because this is what's running in the background that we don't know it's running in the background until we shine a light on it. So an everyday experience for me is that if I am texting with somebody, and it could be even, it doesn't even have to be anybody I'm dating or that I'm married to, it could be a coworker, it could be a friend. And if there is a delay in the text communication, let's just say, people get distracted when they're texting, right? And they'll go and do something else. I will witness that I experience anxiety because of that duration that they're not texting me back. So isn't that interesting? Because we all think that the world thinks the way we do.
Right,
So before this work, I would say, "Oh my God, they totally dropped me. Like what an
right,
asshole."
right.
you know? But that's not true. Now that I understand and I know, I can actually communicate to somebody I'm texting with and say, hey, you know what? I really love an opening and a closing text, which means that if you are leaving the text for any period of time, I would appreciate if you would just close it out and just say, okay, I'm going to go do something else. Huge game changer versus getting pissed off at somebody, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's here's what I find that is important. Like the fact that what you're saying is that attachment styles does impact our everyday experiences, but knowing our attachment styles will inform us how we choose to react. Because it's not a reason, it's not an excuse to give ourselves like, oh, well, I'm going to react this way because I have anxiety, attachment style. That's
Yeah.
not the way to go about it, because I can tell you that we've probably seen people out there. We know people who, well, that's just how I am. Like they react certain
Right.
ways. We have friends like that, or we've probably done it ourselves. And that's not the way, because I mean, the whole point of us as humans is to grow and learn from our experience and know, specifically really learn. We need to learn how to be good individuals in our relationships, whether it's with mom, with dad, with brother, sister, friends, partners, business, or work environments. All of this does dictate, and I can so see how, if you have, like, let's say you use the anxiety example because you said that's your attachment style, how that really informs you how you are. And you said it, I need to have an opening and a closing, like, just for your peace of mind.
Yes, and
And
just doesn't mean that they have to do it. No, absolutely not. It just means that that's more information for me. The other person can say, "No, that's not really my style. Like, that's not how I operate." Well, then I have to go into self-care mode for me and say, "Okay, I know this about this person now, that they could drop off in text or communication, and I'm going to say it's not personal. It's not about me." And I can go to self-soothing.
right.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah. I definitely, and I kind of want to just kind of backtrack a little bit. I just want to say also too, and I just want to clarify that by learning our attachment styles, by no means does it mean that. What I want to say is, like, no parent or caregiver is perfect. Okay, no one can be fully
Correct.
present or attentive to an infant 24/7. That's just reality.
Right.
Um, and in fact, that's
Yes.
not necessarily to establish secure attachment in a child, but when let's say your caregiver miss your nonverbal cues, it's likely they continue trying to figure it out what you needed. So keeping that secure attachment process on track, so it's kind of, we have to understand that, because the strong foundation of, let's say, for example, I'm using the secure attachment right now as an
Mhm.
example. A bond, it enables a person, in this case, when you're a little kid, a child, to be self-confident, trusting, hopeful, and comfortable in the face of conflict. Each
Mhm.
one, each attachment style really does have its strengths that you learn. Like you said, I had the anxiety,
Absolutely.
and from here, and I need open and closing. Because we can be walking around like a hot mess, like, especially as you get
Yes.
older. It's cute at the beginning, when you're in your 20s, because, oh, experiences. But as you get older, people are going to start looking at you like, have you like solved your childhood issues? Like, you know what I'm talking about, Raven. Like,
Yeah.
I've gone on dates. I've gone on dates.
Guilty.
Me too. I've gone on dates, and I'm like, I don't think this person has resolved their childhood issues. And what does that mean and you see that also in profiles, actually. I don't know if you noticed that, but,
Yeah.
like, they'll say, please have your childhood issues
Yeah.
resolved, or they say, like, working on my childhood issues. That just means they're working on themselves to understand themselves. And I think that's a very important thing for us to do, because, look, like I said, you don't want to be a hot mess, especially if you're really trying to be a potential
Yeah.
candidate for someone. Really
Yeah.
be present, and really be that person that you believe you are. Now,
Yeah. Here's a doozy for you, Romeo, when you
yeah,
were talking about that, is that I have had so many shit storms of relationships in my life.
we all
I
have.
Okay, I've had toxic, abusive relationships in my life, and the reason I love attachment styles is because I went so long saying, that person, they're an asshole.
Right.
They're" and then one day I realized, "Oh my gosh, there's one common denominator between all my relationships. It's
Yes.
me."
Yeah.
So I had to really
Hello
self-reflect on that and understand, "No, no, wait a minute. Why am I attracted to
to that.
this?"
Yes. And go
That's
ahead.
yeah, that was amazing
You know,
when I
and
discovered.
that's that right there. That is the goal. Not the goal. That's one of the milestone goals, I want to say, if that makes sense. To be able to, once you know your attachment style, you're able to be like, wait a minute. There is something going on here. I keep attracting the bad boy or whatever it is, the douchey, the narcissist.
Avoidant and anxious partners usually find each other over and over and over again. They're the most incompatible pair,
And
but it's the most common.
interesting. Isn't that, I mean, it makes sense because, it's that
Yeah.
that energy level. But, that's the thing, is to be able to switch gears. Because as you get older, or as we get older in our dating life, I'm saying not in age, I'm saying as we mature into
Mhm.
into, I guess, adults, or in our relationships, we start seeing different things and we start realizing what is really the issue. Like if you're attracting this specific type of person, and you're now informed with your attachment styles, and your childhood traumas, and you've sorted that out, then you're able to now figure out, okay, I'm going to go in this direction because this is what's important for me.
Yes. Absolutely, and that's exactly what I had to do in my life, is I had to intentionally say, "No, I am going to develop an attraction to something much healthier, much different. It's gonna feel completely foreign because that's not what my trauma brain is
Right.
attracted to. My trauma brain is attracted to the conflict, the drama, and that thinks that's normal. It's like, "Oh, this is a cozy comfort blanket."
Right. Well,
And then so it
mhm,
takes this in really intentional quality to step outside of it. And that's why just understanding the attachment styles is just a tool, another tool
exactly.
for you to do.
And it's a great tool. I mean, because look, if you know already the type of person you attract, and you already are in that you're in that process of like, I'm gonna start focusing on different qualities on individuals, or just focus on different type of energy and people.
Mhm.
It's gonna feel weird at first, and
Yes.
which will push you, which will make you want to go back because it feels unfamiliar. It's kind of like that I think we talked about it. I'm not sure if it was with you and a couple of episodes ago, when everybody, when they go on dates, they want to feel the butterflies. They want to feel
Yeah.
that thing that we're kind of been conditioned and been kind of told by the media, that we need to feel the butterflies to feel love.
Right.
But sometimes the best relationships are the ones where it's just, we check it, like we say this in Hebrew, quiet. It's just like there's no drama. They're present. Everything's, you feel emotionally secure. But us as human beings, we're like, oh my God, what's going on? Oh my gosh, it doesn't feel like what I'm used to. In that alone can scare us and send us back in that direction, where going back to what we're used to, what we once upon a time
Yeah.
would call familiar,
Yeah, I have a good example of that, in my early days before I was studying all this and doing all of this, and I was just outside of a really abusive relationship, and I started dating again. Well, I ran into this secure man, and he was so bizarre to me because, like, he was quiet, and he just held, like, like, regular conversation. There was no conflict, and so I remember he said, "Come on over for dinner. I'll make you dinner." And I remember going to his apartment and it was so awkward, Romeo. I remember sitting at the dinner table just thinking, "What am I supposed to do? What do I do? I don't know how to act or be around this person." I mean,
that
isn't that amazing?
it is. And it puts you in a very interesting position, because there's a lot of noise in your mind, right? You're
Oh, it's because
there.
it was super quiet in the apartment.
Right,
That was
and
the
you're
other
and you're going crazy. Like you're like, what is going on? Why is this bothering me? Because it goes back to that you've been used to this specific type of attachment style for so long. and you didn't
Mhm.
address it. I've been in
Yeah.
those situations where, similar to what you like, with a secure person, and I'm like, what's going on? Wh- why why is this bothering me? Really, I was really kind of like, this is not supposed to, it's like I internalized it as like, they don't like me. I need to do
Yeah.
more. Like, I need to go this way. And it was just like, chill, just chill, be present. And it's hard. That's the reality. Like, it is hard to move forward once you start addressing, like, what your attachment styles are,
Yeah.
because, you know, there's no guide. There's no one told us, hey, you know what? Well, guess what? You're in third grade. Your attachment style is this. We're going to start working on this now. It wasn't, come on, let's
Right.
be honest. It wasn't like,
That would have been great though.
maybe someone who had access to resources, maybe then that child did. But really, most of us, I mean, we have to navigate it as adults. And I really do appreciate um, that you are able to help people in that
Yeah.
respect.
And I want to speak to avoidant attachment style.
Hmm.
I can't speak of it from personal experience because it's not my default attachment style, but my most of all of my partners have been. And so I just want to speak of that. Avoidant doesn't mean that they want to avoid love. It's actually the opposite. The conundrum of this, which is so frustrating, is that both anxious attachers and avoidant attachers want the same thing, which is love. It's just they're different, using two different defense mechanisms in response to something that feels really internally scary.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to really kind of normalize and give a shout out to my avoidance because it took me a long time actually to not be resentful of them because I used to be like, what son of a bitch, you know? Um, but then when I really did more research in it and I really discovered, oh my gosh, we're coming from the same place. We both want love and we're both doing behaviors that have a tendency to push it away.
Right. Because I mean, from what I understand, like avoidant, right? Like if you have that dismissive attachment style, it's as if like you rather not rely on others or have others rely on you.
Yeah, and where does that come from? That comes from a deep hurt,
Right.
abandonment, and a sense of it. And I also wanted to say something about um, the statement about parenting, about how you're not a bad parent. There is no bad parenting. Well, there is out in the world, but as far as these attachment styles goes, because this is according to the child's perception,
Right. Right. Right.
not the parental specific behavior.
Right.
So I want to let parents off the hook a little bit for that because as children, our brains are not fully developed. Okay. So we could perceive, even if mom is in the other room doing something for us to care for us, we will not perceive it as that. We could perceive it as abandonment. So I
Right.
just
Right.
wanted to clarify
I'm
that,
glad.
that
Yeah. I'm
it's our
glad.
perception.
Yeah. I'm glad that you clarify that, because a couple of things I want to say. This is not the blame game. This is not to play
Yeah.
the victim. This is to learn how we are and what our attachment style. It's not to victimize ourselves, not to blame others, and it's certainly not about um it's not about carrying this with you and blaming all your life's problems because of your parent.
Right.
Because listen, that story that gets old. I learned this, so many people, oh, I'm like this because of my parent. Listen, you can't blame your parents on everything. Because if you're aware of your issues and you now have come to the realization, oh shit, I'm like this because of this, then guess what? Your responsibility is to straighten that path, or figure out the path that it is for you, where you can be like, dang, you know what? I'm strong. I'm this way because of that, and I'm going to go in this direction. because
Mhm.
it's so easy. I hear so many people. Well, my parent was like this. My mom was like this. My dad was like this. My brother, my sister, blah blah blah. Blame, blame, blame. But no one, you're not taking responsibilities, and it's very important to we got to be responsible for ourselves because I mean there comes a point in your life where that you're already like in your 30s or 40s or whatever, and blaming your parents. Come on, go to therapy.
Well, I will tell you the number one reason that you wanna take accountability for your own emotional intelligence and not blame your parents is because if you blame, you're putting yourself automatically in a victim role,
Right.
which automatically has an energy of helplessness around it, versus if you take accountability for your emotional intelligence, whatever it may be, your trauma, then you are instead empowered to create a different trajectory. That's the difference, is that versus blaming parents and not blaming parents. And trust me, I have been the queen of blaming parents. And it is much more it is much more empowering to actually say, you know what? We're all here trying to get love. That's it. And let me take responsibility for, what I want out of life now, right now.
That's so important to tell yourself, to for us to tell ourselves, really, because we got to just kind of be adults about it. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be loved. We all want to be in relationships.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most it is it is human nature to want. Humans are social creatures. We want to be with
Yes.
someone. And if you believe what the Torah says or what the Bible, a human soul needs another human soul to be complete. I
Yes.
strongly 100% believe in that.
Yes. The actual, I'm going to give you a list of a few books,
Oh,
but there's a
oh,
book called,
I'm so sorry. I was going to ask you about that. Like, what books or other ways that people can learn more about the attachment styles? You just took
yeah,
the
so
words
there's
out of my
some great
mouth.
books. You can take the quiz of what your attachment style is. If you literally just Google attachment style quiz, there's a ton of them up that you can find out where you are at on the spectrum. But there's this book called Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. They actually make a statement in there, exactly what you just said, Romeo, that it is our neurobiology to attach to other
Of
humans.
course.
That was so validating for me because there's also this culture of like, I'm going to be independent. I don't need anybody. Like a lot of relationship manifestation is about get to a place where you're whole and complete and you don't need a partner, and then a partner will arrive.
This
It's
is,
like,
yeah. Can I just say something? This is the
yeah,
reason why and I'm just going to say this out there. This is why it's very terrible. Like, I'm all about empowerment,
yeah,
100% about individual empowerment, women empowerment, minority empowerment. But specifically, what I notice when it comes to women empowerment, there is this idea that you don't need a man, you don't need no one, you need to be your own. And
yeah,
there's something wrong with that because yes, you could be independent. Yes, you can be your own woman, you can be your
yeah,
own boss. You can be a boss bitch, whatever. But do
yeah.
not deny or deprive yourself or believe that you don't need a significant person in your life. We all need that to complete to be a whole person.
The most effective way that human beings have proved to connect with each other is not empowerment, it's vulnerability.
100%.
So,
100%.
vulnerability will almost always anchor people into presence, which then gives way for a real connection to take place. So that's why that model doesn't work, especially for women to be independent, whole, not need anyone, not need
Yeah,
anything.
no, and this is why you so many women. I'm so lonely. I have it. It's because you've accepted this idea that you don't need no one. We all need another individual to complete us as a human. As humans, two souls come together. That's the one. We're one. We're one.
Yeah. Because we're all afraid to say, I'm needy, I'm attached, and
Right.
I'm dependent.
Right.
These are the three words that women are terrified to actually communicate. that they might be.
Because it's
And
like,
men too,
it
probably,
is. I
right?
think I agree. I think men and women and everybody, I think we've been told that these are weaknesses and
Yeah.
we cannot live or subscribe to that because look around us. We are more lonely than ever. We are more hiding behind our screens. It's easy to just, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to play video games. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to binge watch. You know what? Screw it. No, like we gotta feel, we gotta go through everything. But continue with the books. I just
Okay, so
I really do
Hold
love
Me
what you're
Tight
saying.
by Dr. Sue Johnson. She
Hmm.
does a lot of work in this area. I use this book especially for couples, the couples work. And then Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. These three books are really excellent for understanding attachment styles.
All right, Raven. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way we can look you up or kind of find a little bit more about what you bring to the table as far as helping others?
Yeah, you can go to datenightblueprint.com and you can reach me there. I have contact information. And yeah, that's what I do is curate date nights
Ah,
for couples.
yes. Well, Raven, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today. I am your host, Romeo. Till next time, bye.
Bye.